It was all him. It was his drinking money, his gambling money.
But with the drinking came more beatings. When I was 12, I don't even remember what I'd done. He got hold of me on the landing. He'd shoved me in my bedroom. He'd bounced me off the walls as usual. He'd thrown me on my bed. And he started punching me. He used to strangle me. And he held me by my neck and punched me so hard in my back that I let out a scream, but it was as if someone else was letting it out. I've now got 12 screws holding my spine together.
Cooper's prize money should have set the family up for life, but over the following years, he lost it all.
He entered into a number of business ventures which were built on sand. They were doomed to fail. As he lost money then, obviously the lifestyle that he had then adopted began to suffer.
That began to make sense in terms of better understanding burglaries, obviously, because he's after money, but also about risk-taking and excitement to compensate for whatever else was missing in his life. One of the things that I think is particularly saddening about the murder of the Dixons is they were a couple happily walking on a coastal path on a bright summer's day, and I think perhaps this man had a very strong sense of envy that people could live a life like that apparently happily when he so blatantly could not.
John Cooper craved respect, so the interview team were briefed to listen and let him feel in control.
I thought that if we got him to talk, then he may provide us with some ammunition to come back and challenge him later on.
In July 2008, while waiting for a forensic breakthrough, the team spent 4 days interviewing John Cooper. He was still serving time for burglary, but a release date was imminent.
The first 3 days, we just allowed him to talk.
Tell me about times that you actually went to Scotland.
I've seen the pictures of the place and I've seen it in the papers and what have you. I've already answered the question.
Outside then, the number about buildings. Have you ever been to those
He wasn't challenged, we just invited him to tell us about Cooper.
One of the drill bits caught in the wedding ring, and it was well worn from working on the buildings, and I nearly went over the side, so most of the time my wedding ring wasn't worn by me,
right.
much to my wife's displeasure.
The team hoped that by letting Cooper talk, he would give something away.
During yesterday's interview, John,
Yes.
you mentioned that during the trial you handled a shotgun.
Oh, a shotgun was in the court, yes, I believe it was, yes. The shotgun used in the robbery that I was convicted of.
In Sardis.
Yeah.
They noticed Cooper kept referring to a particular shotgun that police had already identified as a potential murder weapon.
Whether I handled it or not, I can't remember.
He actually wrote down on a piece of paper the Judge Morton Sardis gun destruction order. Quite clearly that gun was causing him problems, though he'd already served a sentence for it, so we couldn't really see why he was worried about that particular gun.
Cooper believed the judge in his robbery trial had ordered the gun to be destroyed and seemed worried that it had been kept. It had already been forensically examined, but police asked scientists to inspect it again. John Cooper was returned to his cell to see out the last few months of his prison term.
I think he came out to the interviews as if he had won the battle. He was confident that at the conclusion of the inquiries that he wouldn't be charged.
In January 2009, John William Cooper was released from prison.
I'd had a conversation with Adrian West, and some of the things he said to me really caused me concern in that, you know, Steve, the person who's done this has enjoyed what they've done. He will be released into the community. He will have ideas about what he's going to do. They will fail. He will enter a spiral of offending, and he will kill again.
In January 2009, John William Cooper was released from prison after serving 10 years for burglary and armed robbery.
I'm not a murderer. I'm not a murderer. I am not a murderer.
Dyfed-Powys police believed he'd committed 4 shotgun murders, a rape and a sexual assault, but had never been able to find proof. In 2006, they had launched a cold case review determined to find a forensic link in items taken from Cooper's house.
We were always told by our barrister that if we had that one piece of golden forensic evidence, then we'd make our case into a very, very strong, compelling case.
2 years into the inquiry, after failing to find DNA evidence, the team changed tack and started to look at clothing fibres.
It is amazing. There's a huge variety of different textile fibres, and I think people don't quite realise the enormous variety there is, and therefore why it's such a good evidence type.
Analysts looked at tapings from various exhibits under a microscope to identify any matching fibres. One of the items police chose for examination was a pair of John Cooper's shorts.
Those shorts very much fitted the profile of a photo fit of an offender who was seen using the cash card belonging to Peter Dixon.
They were 3 years into the inquiry.